Hi, I'm Scott Cuthbert, co-founder of Safepedia.
And I'm Gary Wong. I'm known or call myself a complexity facilitator. And Scott and I have been associated doing and helping develop the Meet the Author show.
Yeah, and we're here today just to tell you a little bit about what's in store for the future. I will be joining Gary as co-host, sorry, picking up the torch from where Tamara left off, and we're going to carry on that spirit of Meet the Author, but there are going to be a few changes going forward. So we just wanted to jump on and give you a little preview of what's to come. So you've been co-hosting the Meet the Author show for the past 2 years, and what have been some of the biggest learnings from the series?
Well, Scott, I've had the really pleasure and fun of interviewing a lot of authors, and we've covered a lot of wide variety of topics, of course, based on the book which they wrote. And I think what emerged for me, my biggest learning, was this need for humans to deal with uncertainty. Frequently, we spoke about personal and organizational resilience. That led us into conversations, and other authors wanted to talk about psychological safety in terms of inclusion, diversity, speaking up, and even struggling with complex systems.
Yeah, and I had the pleasure of sitting in on a few of the Meet the Author sessions last year, and really liked the discussions around uncertainty. So can you tell us a little bit more about uncertainty?
Sure. Well, let me do that by first explaining what certainty is. In our world of safety, we have regulations, standards, policies, compliance rules, best practices, and all these provide certainty. And this is really, really good stuff. We have suppliers, as you all know, offering efficient tools and equipment that operate with consistency and predictability. It may be somewhat machine-like, but we know cause and effect relations are there, and they help us to get work done safely. The descriptive term commonly used is robustness. So robustness deals with things that we know about. We also know the outcome, so we call that a known known. But if we don't know what the exact result will be, we call that an unknown unknown. Or the other term we use is risk. And we rate it probabilistically by assigning a frequency and severity number. I think we're all familiar with risk matrices and matrices created by certified professionals and consultants. So for organizations, being robust means having a system that can withstand an unexpected change intact. As an example, electric power systems, and that's what I'm familiar with, are built with hardened structures and now smart devices so that they can take a sudden hit and the lights keep on.
Yeah, so humans create regulations, standards, policies, compliance rules, best practices which lead to certainty and a robust system. Is that a correct summary?
Yeah, and we've been doing this for well over 100 years, and we will continue to do so. But what we want to do is explore another region of the real world, one that isn't certain, has no consistency, and unpredictable. If we associate certainty with robustness, we associate uncertainty with resilience.
Yeah, and I definitely think that's where the conversations and discussions get super interesting. So you're saying that dealing with unexpected changes in work conditions means that our thinking must include both robustness and resilience.
Yeah, so it's not an either or, but a both and. Resilience is being aware of changing conditions that may lead to unintended consequences. So it could be an electrical or mechanical device giving off a warning signal, or it could be a human sensing, a human sensing pending danger and saying, "I got a bad feeling about this." It's all about involving and taking action to prevent a hit. So being resilient also means surviving a massive change that does actually happen. So if I go back to my electric utility example, if a tree falls on an overhead line, a power outage occurs. That's a massive change. Resilience is that capacity to act quickly to stabilize the environment. So what does this mean? That would mean that when I used to supervise crews, they would first appear on the site and take steps so that no further harm would emerge. They put up warning signs, barricade, they make sure the lines are de-energized. Then they sense what options are available to them, and they respond accordingly to get the lights back on.
Yeah, I definitely hear conversations about robustness or about resilience, but I think what you're alluding to is talking about them both together is super important and not necessarily commonly discussed. So where does one start to talk about resilience?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I typically start by asking, what safety issues keep you awake at night? I rather doubt it will be a robustness issue, since you really know what the problem is, you've identified it, and you probably have a solution. So when I talk a bit about resilience issues, these are usually about experiences people have had when they faced confusion, dilemmas, paradoxes.
So do you have some examples for us?
Sure, I'm confused. The supervisor told me to do X, but the crew leader says he knows more, so ignore the supervisor and do Y. What? I'm confused by that. If you get a dilemma, it usually involves choice of options. If I apply rule A, then I violate rule B. What should I do here? Then regarding paradoxes, which we have a lot in the safety world, let me give you a few that managers and leaders face. When people feel more secure, then tend to take more risk and complacency sets in. We also have that issue with outdated best practices. They resist change because they are what? Deemed best practices. So why should they ever change? When safety measures are implemented, productivity may not increase, but it may decrease. For instance, when a company installs safety equipment, it may slow down the production process, which could lead to a decrease in productivity.
So what about novel situations? Like, I've never seen this situation before. What should I do?
For sure. So we're really talking about the space of surprises, not known knowns, but unknown unknowns, unknowables, and even unimaginables. And it could be something that dynamically happens on a job. So you're replacing a pipeline downtown, and you have a busy street blocked off for a couple of hours. You start your digging, and then suddenly a sinkhole appears. What the heck? What do? Do you stop work? Do you keep on going? That's sort of the situation. I've never seen this before. What should I do?
So I often hear businesses say, their biggest fear is uncertainty. I can definitely relate to that. So this is the realm of resilience.
Spot on. So in that spirit, we want to involve our Meet the Author series to a new one. And I think we're going to entitle it The Uncertain Side of something. We don't quite know. It could be culture, it could be governance, whatever, but we know there's always an uncertain side on that particular topic. What we'll do is that we'll examine resilience at the frontline worker level, also known as the sharp end of the safety spear, but we'll also go to the blunt end of elected officials and appointed regulators. So now here's where complexity comes in. So no longer can we just think about the role of safety and confine it solely to the physical side. Slips, trips, falls, injuries, and accidents, and all that sort of traditional way that we look at the metrics of safety. Business owners and safety professionals Can't afford to turn a blind eye now to psychological safety, financial safety, the natural environment, and sustainability. And the big challenge that we face is that all these things are entangled, Scott. You can't separate them out. In the world of robustness, you can. You can break them apart like Lego bricks, and you can fix each one and put it back together again. And because it's somewhat machine-like, it's going to work. But in the world of resilience and uncertainty, it's all entangled. So instead of looking at Lego bricks here, I often suggest to people, look at mayonnaise. There's no way that you can separate out the oil and the vinegar and the ingredients. You've got to deal with the whole. And that's the major differences, where we have to look at the whole, not just the parts.
Yeah, I love that example because the mayonnaise example, because I think safety started as those different ingredients, right? And over the years, it's been mixed together, and it's become something very different than maybe it originally was intended to be, and very, very difficult to separate all those different factors and issues. So what do you envision as a general format for an uncertainty side of show?
Yeah, I think, like Meet the Author show, it will evolve over time as we learn more and more and more. So I think the first step is for us to decide on what hot issue or trend people would like us to chime in on. We'll then begin looking at the why and what's behind the issue. But really and I'm looking at like a 1 hour show, our main emphasis will be about the how. What we learned in our Meet the Author shows is that our aim was not to be academic, but to be pragmatic. Things that the audience could begin using immediately. So because of that, I always ended my show by asking authors to offer 3 takeaways. And I'd like to plan to continue to do that in our new series. Now, the how aspects won't be providing solutions, but be about methods, process, and tools, one that people can confidently use. So it's not about eliminating nor reducing uncertainty, but learning how to live with it and navigate new pathways that may emerge. It could be threats, it could be opportunities. You don't really know, but at least you want to be able to have some tools that you can use and confidently go forward and see what emerges.
So if we're switching the format around this year, who should be paying attention? Who should be joining us on our exploration here?
Yeah, I think our shows will still generally apply to organizations, but I think we'll try to gear it for the small and medium-sized companies. These are the companies that may be resource limited and maybe need to get the best bang for the buck.
That's awesome. I'm super excited about embarking on this new chapter, I guess, with you. Throwback to Meet the Author, and we'll definitely be getting some advertisements out, letting everybody know who the first guests and topics will be. But definitely encourage people to just like you said, share ideas, suggestions with us as to which areas they'd like us to dig into.
Yeah, and our intent is still look at the 3rd Friday of every month, looking at 11 a.m. Eastern time. We seem to have had great success with that for Meet the Author here, and we did develop a bit of a following. So I think, Scott, you're going to reach out to that following that we had and invite them, if you want to come on a recurring basis, to do that. And hopefully we'll pick up some other interested people as well. I think this will be a fun journey to go on.
Absolutely. I'm extremely excited and looking forward to it.